Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Denver, Colorado, it's time for Franchise Bible Coach Radio. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of the Franchise Bible Coach Radio with Rick and Rob. I'm your host, Rob Ganley. Rick Grossman, the author of the Franchise Bible, can't be with us today, but I'm sitting in for him. So also want to take just a few minutes before we introduce our special guest today to thank our sponsors. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank Franchise Bible Coach, as well as Entrepreneur Magazine for their support on both the book and the program. And our sponsor today is SEO Samba. They're an award-winning multi-location content marketing platform that's built for franchising and the franchising industry for both franchisors and franchisees to collaborate and work together. And you can learn more about SEO Samba at seosamba.com. So without further ado, I want to thank our special guest for being here and introduce Brad Fink. He's the VP of Leadership and Franchise Development at Christian Brothers Automotive. How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing awesome today, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great, So one of my favorite questions when we do these shows is to ask guys like you how you became the VP of Leadership and Franchise Development at Christian Brothers, but also tell us a little bit about the vision and how that came to be and why you're involved with the brand.
Rob, good question. I'd say how I got to this role, your guess is as good as mine. But I'll give you a little bit of just my, in a nutshell, background with Christian Brothers. So I'm in my 14th year with the brand. I started in December of 2007 as an entry-level team member at one of our franchise locations. At that time, we had about 50 locations open. It was in Houston where I was working. And over the years, continued opportunities came up. And so as I was able to move up specifically within that shop into a management and then general management role, within a few years, I had the opportunity to actually buy that location and become a franchisee, which was the last thing initially that was ever on my mind. Truth be told, when I started, this was just a job that I imagined was going to be a bridge into whatever the Lord had for me in my career. And little did I know at that time it was going to be Christian Brothers. And so I served as a franchisee, was a multi-unit franchisee within the brand for a few years. And then in 2018, joined our home office, which is also here in Houston, Texas. And over the last almost 3 years that I've been at the home office, I've now had the opportunity to step into the Vice President of Leadership and Franchise Development. And so really my day job, Rob, is I lead all of our brand-wide training initiatives for our service managers and service team members at our 230 locations that are open across the brand, our technicians, and then some of our training for our franchisees, as well as leading our franchise development plans as we continue to expand our team. Just like most other franchise development teams, we're responsible for finding and qualifying who we want to go into business with.
Wow. Well, and I work with a lot of brands, right? And we talk to a lot of them, especially. And I tell you, anybody that has the opportunity to work with someone like you that actually did it and did it at a high level is a whole nother element, right? For your role that you're in right now. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that about you, but that's great that you started as a franchisee, right? You evolved and then you came back to corporate. But being a multi-unit franchisee it really helps you understand both sides of the brand, right?
It does.
Yeah, that really helps you do your job, I would suppose. So with that being said, tell us a little bit more about Christian Brothers Automotive. Who do you serve? Obviously, it's automotive brand. Obviously, you're helping people with their cars, their needs. But tell us a little bit about how you approach the market. What's a little different about you guys than every other brand that might be out there?
Yeah, great question, Rob. I think with Christian Brothers, you could ask any one of our team members at our home office, you could ask any one of our franchisees, and I would bet 90+% of them would tell you basically the same thing. Is on the cover, we're an automotive repair company, but when you open the book and start flipping through the pages, you'll see that we're a people company. We love developing people. We love providing opportunities for people, and we just happen to do so through automotive repair. And so as we grow, we have a mantra, Rob, that I'd say there's not a day that goes by that somebody on our leadership team is not sharing this with a franchisee or another one of our team members. And it's really kind of the two tenets by which we operate. One is we want to increase the individual franchise net profit. We're very unique in the way that we do royalties with our franchisees. We split off the net as opposed to take a percentage of revenue off the top. And so average unit volume, average unit profitability is keenly important to us because that's how we grow as a brand. We only succeed when our franchisees do. So one is individual franchise net profit. We want to increase that. The other tenet, or the other facet by which we operate, is we want to maximize spiritual impact. We're a faith-based brand, and we know that when we're a light in the community, we are changing lives, sometimes through automotive repair, sometimes through other avenues as well. And so we want to grow as a brand. We want to be profitable as a brand. We want to provide opportunity, but we also want to make bigger, long-lasting, eternal impacts everywhere that we open and operate as well.
Yeah. Well, I know you operate near me. I'm in Colorado, so I
Yes,
got
sir.
them. Yeah, I think I know there's at least, I think there's more than one in my city, Colorado Springs, but beautiful buildings. I remember they were building a new one, and I'm like, what is that? That looks really nice. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
like the way you approach the brand and the look and feel of the stores and stuff like that. So that's great. So, a little bit of the theme, obviously, to these shows lately has been obviously dealing with the pandemic, right? And I find it to be one of the best things. You talked about two things, franchising and faith, right? So I think both of those topics, when you pair it up with a pandemic, it's interesting to see how those both work, right? And in my opinion, you couldn't have picked a better test for franchising and for faith, for those that have it, for the pandemic to come about. Not that any of us wanted it, but I always tell people it's better to be a franchisee now than ever, just to have that support of the network and the brand and the team behind you all working together, both sides, right? You're learning from your franchisees, they're learning from you, but that's the point, right? So you have this pandemic, and all of us have to pull together, but especially at the brand level, you guys probably had some unique circumstances, right? And unique challenges and hurdles to overcome, and opportunities for faith, right? Tell us a little bit about how. Let's start with the franchisees and on the brand side. Tell us a little bit about how you've approached adapting to COVID and helping support your franchisees.
Yeah, well, Rob, I'll even go back pre-2020 into 2019, some decisions that we made as a brand that had we have not done that in 2019, this would have been a tougher year for us. And so we had, our heartbeat when it comes to our locations, obviously, like many locations, is our point of sale software, how we do business. We made a drastic shift in 2019 away from a software that we had been with for 15 plus years to a brand new software program that's web-based, that allowed our franchisees access to information about their shops from their cell phone in a way that we never had before. Specific down to what technicians are working on what cars and how far along they are in the progress of that repair, all the way from a cell phone. So our franchisees could be on vacation 10 states away and know what's going on in their shop every single minute of the day. And so that was something that we added in 2019, obviously not knowing what 2020 was going to bring. And so as we moved into this year, one of the things that I've always loved about our franchisees, having been one especially for over a decade, is that our brand, all of our best practices, Rob, did not come out of the home office. It wasn't this brain trust that said, we think this is good, let's roll this out and make that standard. It was like so many other brands. Our franchisees have the best ideas. They are the most creative people that we've got in our entire company. And so as we navigated through COVID, we absolutely developed and adopted brand new best practices that came from the field to allow our franchisees and their teams to continue to operate as an essential business, which we're incredibly grateful and thankful for, in a safe manner, to provide a safe way for guests to be able to get automotive repair, which we can dig into a little bit, some of the creativity that they came up with, but to be able to go through the whole repair process and have not only the trust that we're always seeking when it comes to automotive repair in general, but then the trust to know, hey, even in the midst of everything else that's going on, I trust what you guys are doing on my car is right, but I trust that you also care for my safety as well. And so for our teams and our guests to be able to experience that and know that it was our franchisees that had so many great ideas, that's the thing I look back on this year and am probably the most proud of, is the way that their resourcefulness and resolve shined like we've never seen it before.
Yeah. No, we hear it time and time again in these interviews. And one of the reasons we like to talk about it is because, again, and you said some great things. I mean, we talk a lot of it about servant leadership as an approach, as a mindset. And when you say things like, our franchisees are the most creative people in the company, that tells me you guys get it. And it doesn't surprise me because of your faith orientation. And I know a little bit about that as well. So the reality is that makes sense, right? And I think when you think of it that way, it allows your franchisees to get the best of both worlds, right? It allows them to follow a blueprint or frameworks that are proven, but inject their own creativity and their own resourcefulness. And the reason they're in that position to begin with is that be able to exercise that, to be able to contribute to that, right? And I think that's the beauty of the franchise model, is that you have that give and take. But again, not every brand has that mentality, which I have to commend you guys on, because I think there's always a connection to the brands that are growing and doing well, right? And I also loved everything you said about the net margin, which I guess every brand's a little different in how they have to do that. But certainly, if you can tie yourselves in an efficient way to that with a franchisee, that tells the franchisee you're in it together. There's absolutely no element of that business that can go astray, right? Without you guys collaborating, because you're in it together, right? So that's tremendous to hear. Is there any particular story that you would call out from? It could be a franchisee that served a customer, or a franchisee that did something above and beyond that just kind of resonated throughout the network, or anything you wanted to share about franchisees and what they may have done for customers?
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. I think there's, obviously, as you might imagine, there's probably too many lists. We don't have time for it, and I certainly don't know them all. But, right as at the onset of the pandemic, when, we're kind of into April, and early May, and every state in the union is reacting accordingly and shutting down, and it's only essential businesses and whatnot. We saw our brand wide revenue, just like so many others, dramatically drop, from, in a 3 to 4 week span, we saw as much as a 40 to 45% drop in brand wide revenue. And for us as the franchisor, which you just mentioned, if our businesses don't make money, we don't make money. And not revenue, we're talking about profit as well. And for our franchisees, obviously, that's a big reason why they get into business. It's an opportunity to exercise that entrepreneurial spirit, but also, potentially create, financial legacy for themselves today and tomorrow and their families too. And so what you could expect would be, franchisees and us at the home office getting selfish and getting completely introspective to find a way to protect ourselves. And what I tell you, the beauty of our brand, and I'm certainly trying not to over promote here by any means, but I tell you, it's just my heartbeat in this. The beauty of our brand is that we have always been and continue to be a brand that looks out for each other. And so immediately you saw franchisees on our intranet that we use putting out on a daily basis, multiple times a day. We've started doing this, and our customers are loving it. They feel great. We started doing this. And so I alluded earlier to best practices. One story came up where we had a franchisee that was dabbling a little bit in pickup and drop off, knowing that, this is convenient for a number of people. You never even have to leave your home. We've got 4 kids at home. The oldest is 10. If someone's going to come pick up my wife's car, take it to the shop, get everything done, she never has to leave the house. Talk about dream come true for automotive repair, right? And so we had across the brand, we had franchisees start to adopt this, but we had one franchisee that went an extra mile. He had a customer that was in her 70s, highly concerned, about COVID, but needed some stuff on her car done. And so they went to her house, they picked it up. She was able to put her keys on the front porch. We used a plastic bag to get the keys. We locked the keys in a plastic bag, never touched them. We wore gloves. We got in the car. I'm saying we because it's our brand. This is what franchisees team ever did. But wore gloves, got in the car, took it to the shop, completely sanitized the car, took the key, punched it through the little corner of the Ziploc bag so that we'll never touch the keys throughout the entire repair. Was able to start, drive the car, do all of that. So we sanitized it. We checked it out. We let her know what was going on via text messages and emails with pictures and videos specifically about her car. Did a video call with her so that she could see the person that she's talking to as they walked through the recommendations, performed the repairs, re-sanitized the car, delivered it to her. She was able to make a mobile payment over the phone. We left the keys on the front door and let her know that the car's in the driveway. Keys are at the front door on the mat. And that has been something, Rob, that now moving forward, pandemic or no pandemic, is going to be a part of our process. If you don't want to even get out and see the shop, but you want to know that everything, and you want an inside look as to everything that's going on, we have the tools, technology, but more than anything, we've got the people and franchisees that see that as a benefit and a value to their guests, and we're staffing and hiring accordingly to be able to do that in 2021 and beyond.
Wow, that is cool. I think there's a lot of great innovation happening because of all this. Certainly new ways of serving the community and the people. And one thing we kept hearing over and over again throughout the last 6 months or so is the idea that you have to convey that feeling. Like you said, it's one thing to trust us for your car. It's another thing to trust us that we know what the heck's going on with this pandemic, right? We're tuned in. We're absolutely hyper concerned about your concern, right? It's not about us, it's about you. And to actually poke the key through the plastic, I mean, that's thinking every step, right? It wouldn't make much difference if you ended up, touching everything, right? The fact that you knew to do that, you recorded it, were willing to do it, shows the character of the brand, right? I think that's amazing because again, it means that you're willing to do all those things, and the franchisee has to be willing, right, to serve that person and to hear that she got what she needed, but the way that she needed to have it that day is amazing. It's an amazing story. So tell me a little bit. I mean, given that, it sounds like you've had a little bit of an up and down, but then being an essential business, you probably were able to get into the groove again and restore that sort of trust, right, with the community. Let them know we can still do business, just we'll do it the right way. And so that's moving forward. How do you see 2021 for the brand itself in terms of expanding, in terms of acquiring new partners, new franchisees and things? Are you what's changed or what's evolved?
Yeah, but our confidence, Rob, is as high as ever. So this year we will open. Just got the report this morning. Our goal was to open 19 locations this year, 19 new locations that we had in the development timeline, our pipeline. We're going to open 18, so we're going to fall one short. But Q1 next year is going to far exceed what we had already projected, and so we feel good about 2021 from a franchise development side as far as signing new franchisees. 2019 was a record year for us. 2020 is going to shape up almost equivalent to what we did in 2019, which we're incredibly thankful for. Virtual discovery days, which we've never done. We did those almost all year, and we're able to continue to navigate through that. And then as far as 2021 goes, the interest in Christian Brothers is absolutely growing. And where the part where we absolutely can't take credit for this, but we're grateful for it. That's the word of the year for our brand, Rob, is gratitude. But I tell you, we're grateful for the industry that we're in. It's not sexy. It's not something that you think. Automotive repairs is what I've always dreamed about being in, but it is something that America needs and relies on a daily basis. And so we're grateful for the industry that we're in. And again, we have come through, or still in the midst of, but have come through some economic recession and continue to perform. Brand-wide revenue is going to be up this year. What we call total owner benefit, or what our average franchisee takes home, is going to be up in the midst of the pandemic year as opposed to last year. And so we are eagerly anticipating talking to franchisees in 2021, or talking to candidates in 2021 about how did Christian Brothers fare in 2020 and what can you expect moving forward from a support standpoint. So the interest in our brand is high. Our excitement is probably even higher.
That's awesome. No, I mean, and so let me ask you this, just as a sort of follow-up to that is, do you guys believe, just from your own anecdotal evidence running your brand, that there could be a spike in franchise interest across the board, like because of the change, people moving from one job to the next, being laid off, starting over? Do you see it as a great opportunity for the industry to really, get more people involved?
I absolutely do. I think there's a lot of people, Rob, and I would say this just thinking of myself personally. I never once, when I first started with Christian Brothers, never once saw myself as a potential franchisee. It was never on my radar. And truthfully, Rob, it was something that I didn't think I possessed the skills to be able to do it and be successful. And it was somebody else that saw that in me that said, hey, we think you ought to pursue this. And I got that confidence. And sometimes I think that's what it takes is some outside factors, some outside sources, maybe like job loss, maybe some industry turn down, that forces, whether in an excitable way or a frustrating way, it forces people who can be franchise owners, can be highly successful, have the skills to be able to do it, to look at it, but more than anything, to know, and you alluded to this a second ago, to know that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to partner with somebody where I'm going to get some support and not be out on my own. I can't imagine being a business owner in 2020 and not having the support of people in the family, other franchisees, a franchisor, when you're talking about PPP loans and EIDL money and how to navigate all of that. It's just, it'd be mind-blowing to know that people can be highly successful through all that without support, going through it. And so I think franchising in general is primed for opportunity, and hopefully we are too.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any concern about that. You guys just keep doing what you're doing, and that'll keep taking care of itself, right? So again, amazing situation that we've all been through, because I see how people react to it. I see what comes from it. And I think that's how diamonds are made, with a little bit of pressure, right? So, a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, as we wrap up the show today, one of the things I'd like to kind of get from you shared a lot of really good things today. But just in terms of if you could leave the audience with a key nugget, a key point, maybe it's what we just said, people that are kind of in that transition, wondering, do I go back into the corporate world or do I go back to a job? These people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're well equipped, right? They're smart. They've been employed. They've been a superstar where they are. Maybe it's time to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? Is there anything you want to share with the audience, or anything like that would just be a good nugget for them?
Yeah, hopefully, whether it's a good nugget or not, it'll be up to them, Rob. But there's something that I'm passionate about, that I've been working through with my time as a franchisee and the teams that I led in my businesses, as well as the teams I get a chance to work with at our corporate office. We say at Christian Brothers, and I firmly believe this, the two most important things to any successful business are your processes and your people. And I'm a heart guy, and so people are always going to come first for me, because I can have wonderful processes and bad people and the business won't work. I can have great people and bad processes and we've still got a fighting chance. And so as you think about that, as you think about especially the opportunity, to potentially, if you're listening and you think, man, should I consider going to business for myself or with a brand and become a franchisee? The question that I always asked myself, and the standard by which I held myself to, were three things as I would lead my team. And this was my barometer, Rob. I wanted my team to love what they were doing. And I told them that's their responsibility. That's their choice. It's their responsibility. I also wanted my team to love who they were doing it with. That was our collective responsibility. And lastly, I wanted my team to love who they were doing it for. And that was my responsibility. And that was an internal barometer that I have used for the last number of years as I've graded myself and graded the success of our teams. If they enjoy what they're doing, if they enjoy who they're doing it with, and if they enjoy who they're doing it for, we've got a real shot at being great. And if you think about those things and you think, I care about that, I care about that, I care about that, then I think business ownership, especially in a franchise, is absolutely something that you ought to start exploring.
Wow. I love that, man. I got to be honest with you. That was good. I might go back and listen and write that sucker down. That was great. No, really, there's three phases, there's three angles, right? There's three perspectives of building a team and motivating a team and getting people to work for you and with you and for the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how that's done. And that makes perfect sense. But what a great way to make decisions though, right? About anything you're going to do.
Yes, sir.
If you could go through that sort of process, that's really great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
that'll do it for today. I just want to thank Brad Fink for being here. Any final word, Brad, on anything that we talked about before we wrap things up?
No, Rob, but I would tell you if I can be of any assistance to anybody that would be listening, my email is super easy. It's first name dot last name, so brad.fink at cbac.com, Charlie Bravo Alpha Charlie.com. If I could answer a question or help anybody in any way, it would be my honor and my pleasure. And I'm honored to be spending a little bit of time with you today.
You got it. And before we go on that note, is that the website as well? Is that the main website they can go and visit to learn more?
Yes, sir. cbac.com. And you can navigate our customer facing side, what it looks like for our guests that we serve, but then also the franchising side. If you've got any interest there as well, you can navigate that too.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I appreciate your time. And I just want to thank our audience today for tuning in. And once again, thank our sponsors, Entrepreneur Magazine for their support and SEO Samba as well. And again, you can learn more about SEO Samba's platform at seosamba.com. Once again, thanks again, Brad. And for everybody listening, remember, keep fighting the good fight. Keep focusing on doing the right things. And hopefully you learned something here today. We thank you for listening and bye for now.